Good morning and welcome to The Verdict. It is a massive edition this morning off the back of what was a phenomenal Derby day, dominated by the blue of Godolphin and the skill of Mark Zahra. 4 for Zahra on the day, including the Coolmore and the Derby for Godolphin. It was a punter's day as well, and one of the fan favourites, Pride of Jenni, showed that she is absolutely incredible. 86,000 enjoyed a sun-filled Derby day, and it only gets better as we march towards the Melbourne Cup. And on today's program, we'll look back on the Derby day and we'll have a full preview for the Melbourne Cup. Matt Hill will join us. International expert Lee Mottershead will join us for his view on the internationals, and we'll also catch up with Asgari. And we've got two of the best here to tell us all the winners coming and dissecting Derby Day. Sharkie and Ollie, that was one of the great Derby days.
Absolutely amazing race day. I was filthy. I was a late scratching, Michael. My wife didn't trot up sound for the vet, so she was a late withdrawal. They got to her, so I had to stay home and play nurse. But watching from afar, all the right horses won, Ollie. And the vibe in the crowd, the punters were winning, bookies were getting cleaned up. It looked like the perfect Derby day.
Oh, it was an awesome day. I enjoyed the whole Melbourne Cup, Derby Day experience there yesterday. I got the tram, got the train. Oh! It was like a pilgrimage going out there, you know. I totally loved it. I mean, Sydney can try and rip us off, but we're still the original and the best.
It's it. The OG is Derby Day. Yep. There's no doubt about that. We've got so much to discuss, but let's get into the feature. The 2,500-metre Victoria Derby. All the talk was about Observer. How would he handle the distance? He was the best horse in the race. It came down to whether he would be able to settle properly and run it out strongly. I thought Mark Zahra rode it beautifully. It's easy to say when you're on the favourite, Ollie, but he did look like he wanted to get a bit revvy early, didn't he?
He did a little bit, but then he sort of, you know, once he got into a rhythm and the field settled, he got him back under himself. Interesting, you know, there was no notification of change of tactics from the other Ciaron Maher runners, Matsuda and Amazaki. They were both forward runners, but they were both ridden quiet, so he did certainly get it on his own there.
And the other one that looked like it was likely to push on from a wide gate and sort of settle in the first three was Akora, and elected to take a sit. And they eventually did get in and get a nice trail, just 5th or 6th in running. But that was another one I think most punters thought, oh, it'll roll forward and be a part of that early speed and maybe put some pressure on Observer. But once Mark Zahra got a hold of the race, it was just a question of whether he would let down and quicken as he did a week earlier in the Vase.
Bit of discussion about, well, maybe some other jockey should have put a bit of pressure on, but Ollie, it's difficult because you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't. It might be good for horses sitting behind you, but if you're the one that wants to go up and pressure the horse, it may not be the best for your horse.
No, possibly not, but we've seen all the lead-ups have been slowly run races as well, so it ran true to form, and there was a couple of runners that looked that, you know, their form had shown they'd gone forward and they didn't do that yesterday. Sometimes it's not always up to the jockeys, it's up to connections, how they want the jockeys to ride the horses as well.
The other thing is every horse in this race was suspect at the trip because it has never been to it before. So why would you roll the dice and go and charge on up to put pressure on a leader just for the sake of putting pressure on a leader? Well, that makes no sense.
I wonder whether this horse, and we've seen it previously, where it's his class that got him through over 2,500. He's probably a better 2,000-metre horse maybe. We'll have a chat to Ciaron Maher in a moment, Ollie, but what do you think will come out of this race? We won't know for 12 months, but the quality of the horses outside of the winner?
Oh, look, obviously the winner's very good. The second horse was a great run, I felt. He sort of made a run at it. Looked like he was a chance to get him, but the winner had just had too soft a run in front. Deal Done Fast, which had a nice run back on the fence for Daniel Stackhouse and Matt Kamani. He ran home really well, but not much else really got into the race other than those three, just because of the pedestrian nature of the way the race was run.
Every year the winner looks good and there's good runs in the race. The question is, what toll does the race take on them long term? We hope that the winner comes back and turns into a nice weight for age middle distance horse, but you know, time will tell.
I love the fight because he looked like he was challenged at the 200 and he certainly fought it right out. And Ciaron Maher, another Derby victory for the master who loves these staying horses. He had a big day yesterday with Jimmy Starr in Sydney as well, and he joins us this morning on The Verdict. Ciaron, congratulations. I know I had a chat to you yesterday morning. You were uber confident about this boy, and he certainly proved you right.
Yeah, exactly right. Like he's... you know, he's probably in the sort of the same sort of form as a horse like Hototsu. You know, like he's probably unlucky not to win a Guineas. he was very dominant, and I was ultra confident yesterday. The first mile he went solid enough, and then thankfully Mark backed it off and got a couple of cheap sectionals, which sort of made the difference. But yeah, he's just one of those horses that's just simply better than his opposition.
Ciaron, on a day like yesterday, Derby Day, and we see some of the colour shots and the young punters that are obviously having a fill-up and having a lot of fun, is it more enjoyable from your point of view? Like Jimmy Starr wins, he's a crowd favourite. Observer's a hot favourite in the Derby. There's a young crowd there. Everyone's backing winners. Does it just give you an extra kick along when you get the result?
Well, I felt that, Flemington was back in all its glory yesterday. You couldn't have got a better day. It was absolutely heaving, the whole track. And like you said, there was a lot of young people there. A lot of people put a lot of effort into what they were wearing and doing, and a lot of, it was just a fantastic day's racing. I thought, it hasn't really hit the mark, I thought, since before COVID, but I thought it really announced itself again, Flemington. So well done to the VRC and everyone else involved, because it was fantastic day's racing yesterday.
And I love you, Ciaron. You know how to celebrate a victory, and there's a few good music acts coming up over Flemington Cup week. And have a look at you, just getting right into it in the mountain yard. There are a couple of good moves there.
Well, I had to keep the moves to a minimum last night. We were galloping some of the cup runners this morning, and we had some of them down the beach. So I didn't let the hair fully go last night, but it was certainly a fantastic day.
We've seen something similar at the Whalers at about 1 a.m. every May.
A little bit of Clint Hutchison sort of territory there with a little bit of a wiggle.
Or Elaine off Seinfeld.
Got a bit of kick going. Obviously, he has a rest now. Do you think he's a horse that you'd have a crack with at an autumn derby, or is he maybe a better 2,000-metre horse?
Oh, definitely. He'll just get stronger and better. He's still quite raw. He does, he's still overdone it a bit early and probably took the shine off his finish. But, you'd think an Australian Guineas is right up his alley, especially at Flemington, and then into a derby for sure.
Hey, I better ask you, because there's been such an amount of discussion about it. Victoria Derby 2,500 metres, do you want to keep it at that distance, or is it better at 2,000?
I hate this discussion. If you want to call it and move the distance back to 2,000, well, it's no longer a derby. It's just an average race. And then what are you going to call the day? Like, pathetic. Like, the derby is the derby. Every derby in the whole world's a mile and a half. If you want to have a 2,000-metre 3-year-old race, well, it'll just be a boring race like like any other. So I think they should leave it alone. I echo Gay's thoughts, and the derby is the derby. Fantastic race, and should be left as is.
Well, it's pretty emphatic. We like to hear those strong statements. And just a word on Mark Zahra as well. We've got the GOAT sitting here, the all-time great. The form that Mark Zahra is in at the moment, it must give you so much confidence when you leg him up.
Yeah, well, like any sportsman, jockeys included, when their confidence is, and Ollie would attest to that, when their confidence is up, you just, those split-second decisions, you're not even it's subconsciously you're sort of making those decisions, and you just make the right one when their confidence is up. And Mark is a jockey right at the top of his game. He's just brilliant on all horses, and that was on show yesterday, but especially at those stayers. He just gets them to relax and just lets them build confidence throughout the run, and he's obviously very strong in the finish as well. So yeah, he's fair play to him, and he put on a clinic yesterday.
Ciaron, pride of Jenni, another great winner on the day, and I think you've run out of words and superlatives to describe this mare. She's been retired, criticised the trainer, criticised the owner for bringing her back, people worried about her. She is just an out-and-out superstar and a competitor at heart. Like, what else do we say about this mare?
No, exactly right. She amazes me, and she's just a pleasure. And I'm fortunate to be able to train a horse like her, and a horse that just has a crack. You know, like I think she has a crack as much as her owner, Tony Otterbray. I'm sure the tab would have been feeling the pinch today. They'll be hoping for a blowout Cup day for sure. But yeah, what a champion mare she is. Just a 8-year-old and banging 2 performances in 3 starts that were right up there with her best ever. So she's amazing really, and we just had her down the beach, down at Carrum, and we'll see how she is and over the week, and maybe have a look at the Champions Mile.
Well, that's what she's done before. Why wouldn't you have a crack? And another great ride from Declan Bates there. Gee, it was a big day. Ollie said he was pretty proud that, Warnie, you'd set this horse for the Damien Oliver specifically to win that race in his honour. And, gee, he performed outstandingly well.
Yeah, we've got a little picket fence going in the Ollie Stakes. We won one last year, and yeah, he's been knocking on the door, this horse. He's got a really good turn of foot, but he needs things to go his way. He needs pace on. If you ride him too close to the speed, it takes away from his finish. So he needs a few things to go his way, and he just landed in the perfect spot. Flemington was ideal with plenty of time to get home, and he showed his best yesterday.
And Jimmy Starr in Sydney was outstanding as well. Ciaron, will we see him in the sprint in a week's time as well?
You won't see him in the sprint. With the new format, he could have a look at the 1400. Yeah, speaking of Mark Zara, what about Ethan Brown? I think he spent more time in Sydney over the last 2 months than anywhere else, and he's really emerged as that high top level confidence jockey, and that was a brilliant ride yesterday.
He might be wanting to move to Sydney, Ciaron, and he's cleaned up there in the recent weeks.
Well, that was mentioned. He does like it up there, Brownie. So, he's just a fantastic rider, and you can see him just building in confidence every time he goes out.
Ciaron, you mentioned it was an important morning. Gallops for some Cup runners. Take us through the Cup runners. How'd they go in their work this morning?
Royal Supremacy. He seems a horse that has endless amounts of energy. He pulled quite hard in the Metropolitan. He pulled very hard in the Caulfield Cup, and he's a horse just right at the top of his game. He worked earlier in the week, and he worked again this morning, and he'll probably do a bit on Cup morning, but he's got a really low weight. Robbie knows what he's doing. And if the rain does come, he can tick that box as well. So he's in good order. Middle Earth, he just had a canter round, smoking Romans, and Sadati. So, and then they all went down the beach. So they're all trekking pretty well for Tuesday.
Ciaron, Royal Supremacy's drawn wide. Is that a setback for him? And which way do you think he'd be ridden from that wide gate?
Yeah, well, you know yourself, you've got to get the first half right in a 2-mile race. So, yeah, we'll sort of sit down and nut out a plan today, or a rough plan, or as much of a plan as you can. But I'd say, you wouldn't light him up too much, so you'd probably have to take his medicine early.
Hey, Ciaron, well done to you and the team. Stellar Derby Day. Let's hope we see a little bit more of that Elaine dance in the mounting yard after Cup Day as well.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Good on you, Ciaron. We found something he's not good at, dancing.
It'd be good to get a side-by-side with his dance and Elaine, see how they match up.
You know what? We will work on that. So that was the Derby. Outstanding, the feature on the day. The Pride of Jenni. as you mentioned, though, was probably the one that got the crowd.
Mate.
I know he was the favourite observer, but the crowd was... There is nothing more spectacular and exhilarating than a horse that gets out with a lead like Pride of Jenni.
Yeah, and she's so well known. You know, I remember going to the races last spring when she won the fee, and that night there was such a young crowd that are all screaming her name. She's got a very, very loyal fan base that dial in every spring expecting to see her go and do exactly what she did at Flemington yesterday. When she's in full flight, she's a joy to watch. And I was surprised by the social media commentary, punters, pundits, you name it, who want to half put a sword through her. If you don't want to back her, that's fine, but you can't take away the joy of watching her, Ollie.
No, not at all. I mean, you can't take anything away from her. I mean, that race there yesterday was a little bit of a lack of on-pace sort of runners, and some were critical of the jockeys' rides in the race, but there was nothing in that really race to go with her, and that's when she's at her best, when she can get a break on the field and it breaks the other horses' hearts trying to chase her, and then they just can't pick her up.
If there was any expectation, like looking at the form of this race and looking at the runners, she was going to get an uncontested lead and do whatever Declan Bates wanted to do out in front. If you couldn't work that out pre-race, you need to watch more films.
It was a great ride by Declan, though. He rode to her strengths and the others' weaknesses.
Now, there was a lot of talk about other jockeys. Why didn't they try to go with her, get closer? But it's easy to say that, Ollie. In reality, how do you do it?
Well, I mean, like that, the way that race set up, there was no strong milers on pace that could go with her. So, I mean, if you do try and go with her, you just bust yourself doing it. So, I mean, as I said, it played into Jenni's strengths and the others' weaknesses.
And they make a wonderful partnership, Declan Bates and Pride of Jenni. Let's hear from Deck after the race.
She's something special. A horse with her style to keep coming back and reproducing these performances, and you know, what can you say? And it's just everyone involved with the horse. It takes... Clearly they're doing a magnificent job with her to keep getting her back. She's in such a happy place, this horse, and yeah, she was really on it today, and I knew very early in the race we're on board.
You'd have such an acute understanding of the sectionals that she can carve out, but also what's in the tank. What sense did you have on the gap and what remained?
Yeah, I try not to get wrapped into sectionals riding her. It's more about her and allowing her to do it as she feels underneath me. And today I just knew very early on she didn't fly the lids as she doesn't always, but she quickly come up underneath me, and she really wanted to cross the field, so I was able to just take my time getting there, and every time I grabbed the bit she wanted to go, and from the half mile she just extended beautifully. So yeah, she's you can't ride any other horse like you ride her, but the feeling she gives on these days is something else.
Well done to Declan Bates. It takes some guts to ride a horse the way he does with Pride of Jenni. So I hope we get to see her on Saturday. It would be a lovely finale if we got to see Jenni back again on the weekend.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I think the camp will be hoping that Waterhouse Bot don't have a runner in the race, because they seem to be her nemesis, because their horses are trained to go with her, you know. But as we saw, there wasn't one of those in that yesterday, and it just really played into her strength.
Yep. Just a reminder too, the Breeders' Cup was on before we were on. We're going to cross back out there for the Breeders' Cup turf, which is not too far away, and we'll show you a replay again of that Breeders' on the dirt, I should say. The Breeders' Cup turf won by Ethical Diamond. Willie Mullins, who's on his way to Australia, just incredible. But right now, let's go back to the Carbine Club. Race 1 yesterday, and Chris Waller has made this race his own. Panova down the outside. Favourite punters were on the odds on Regal Award here, but Panova was just too strong late.
Absolute set play from the Waller camp with their fillies into this race. Fangirl, Aliana last year, Panova through midweek form, then a win in the Reginald Allen, settle off the speed, bowl over the top. Wasn't as dynamic as previous winners, but it probably wasn't a sprint home. Regal Award set a genuine tempo, and it called on stamina at the end of the day. She's a nice filly with obviously a very bright future ahead, and when you look at the honour roll of other fillies they've brought to this race, they've ended up being very, very good. So Panova is without doubt a horse to stay on the right side of.
Regal Award just beating himself at the moment too?
No, look, it was a genuine tempo, but I think he's probably better suited at a track like Caulfield where he can really kick off the bends. Flemington is a bigger, fairer track where those back markers can get a chance to run him down.
Saw a pretty nice one too in race number 2, Sheza Alibi, which helped the punters out. Very well supported from the Moody Coleman. This was a lovely ride. You were on pretty good terms with yourself on Sheza Alibi. You just wanted the gap to open, and as soon as it did, Ollie, just went bang.
Yeah, it just showed great acceleration there. One to follow this one for sure. I mean, she put up a good run behind Tentyris, who we saw later on come out and win the Coolmore, and when she burst clear, she showed some nice acceleration. And Tentyris was a good run down the outside too, coming off her unlucky run at Moonee Valley. So, yeah, nice run from her.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any of these fillies are, screaming to climb the heights, but stakes winner now, the winner, so that's important for her going forward, and others picking up black type, which will help their future. But yeah, not sure of the strength of that race.
Yeah. Breeders' Cup on the dirt, not too far away. As we go to the break, Shark, what about this? Ethical Diamond, Willie Mullins, comes off winning an Ebor. Dylan Brown McMonagle, who was going to ride Al Riffa, but they pulled him off to put Mark Zara on. Willie went there because he'd never had a runner in the Breeders' Cup. Well, he's now won the Breeders' Cup on turf. Look at
Down
this.
the middle of the turf course and goes by them all. Ethical Diamond has taken the lead, and at 25-1, Ethical Diamond wins the turf. And then was Rebel Romance second, El Cordobés was third, followed by Avalon and Gold Phoenix, and a final time of 2:25.45 on Delmore.
Welcome back to The Verdict on this Sunday. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. We have got a very big Melbourne Cup preview coming up too. Ben Asgari will jump on the panel, as will international expert Lee Mottershead, and Matty Hill, the voice of the Melbourne Cup, will join us with his Cups tips as well. And we'll head over to the States in a moment because in a few minutes' time it will be the Breeders' Cup on the dirt. But let's continue our review of Derby Day right now. And the rising fast, Cabalas, he looked the horse to beat on paper, and that Sydney form stood up, Ollie.
It certainly did, yeah. He was a good run in Sydney last start, and he set up on the speed, and he was just too good for them here.
Great to see Gigi's Mistruth, the runner-up, back in form as well. The pride of Tasmania. It's great to have stakes class horses from Tassie coming over, particularly at carnival time, and flying the flag. So she's not far off breaking through. But Cabalas had some really encouraging form lines. Won the Hortensia at Scone last prep and then had a little bleed. So did his obligatory time on the sidelines, put the riding on the wall. From a very poor gate first up, he had to get a mile out of his ground. But that's what he can do. He can lob up much closer to the speed, and I think that's where the market settled with him working out, hey, I don't think this horse is going to get too far back down the straight, and they were really into him in the last 5 or 6 minutes of betting.
Star Patrol disappointed, but subsequently suffering from EPIH, so there's an excuse there. And gee, Nicolini Vita, not Nicolini Vita, Royal Insignia, that's it last. Got a long way out of its ground and
Tease me, that
rattled through the line.
He does. He has a tendency to do that. I think he's probably found his mark. I'm not sure about him at this grade. He's been around the mark without a lot of luck this prep, but I'd be dropping off Royal Insignia for the time being.
Shortest price favourite yesterday for the punters, and it was an anchor in a lot of multis, was in the Wakeful, and it didn't let the punters down. We know this race is the best guide to the Oaks. Got to get a good feeling. I think it was as short as $1.55, and now is $1.80 in the Oaks. Is that right price or unders?
No, I think it's about the right price, yeah. He's been the dominant filly, especially getting out to a trip now, trained by Danny O'Brien, who's got a great record with his staying horses, and I was a bit surprised she went forward there yesterday, but it's good she went. I thought Mark might ride a little quieter from a wide gate, but he took luck out of the equation, put her up there, and, she won comfortably. The second horse was a nice run, only its third start in a race, coming off a 1,400-metre maiden, so sort of one to keep an eye on as well.
I reckon this is the worst Wakeful I've seen in a long, long time. And the winner's by So You Think, that's what's carrying her through. It's a sprint mile pedigree. No tempo in this race, and it was a dash home, and she had the best turn of foot. I think the runner-up, getting to 2,500 metres on Thursday, I'm looking for something to make it a bit of a staying test. If it does become that, I think the runner-up could give her a really good run.
Really?
And you're going to get a lot better odds than $1.80.
Okay, maybe some Sydney siders will come down to strengthen up the Oaks as well, but there's no doubt Mark Zara, they are the ones to beat. Now we're getting close to the US Breeders' Cup on turf. Let's take you out to Del Mar, on dirt I should say. Let's take you out to Del Mar.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Baeza was off to a slow beginning. Fierceness goes out to the early lead and runs straight today and straight to the front. Contrary Thinking now moves up alongside of him, and Contrary Thinking will take the lead. Forever Young is close. He's right there on the outside, and Fierceness is down toward the rail. Then comes Mindframe and Antiquarian. Journalism is guided inside by Jose Ortiz. Nevada Beach is along the rail. Baeza is second last, leading only last year's winner, Sierra Leone, has the opening quarter mile in 23.04 seconds. So Contrary Thinking out there doing his job. He's in front by 2 lengths. Ever Young on the outside of Fierceness, second and third. Drink of Two to Nevada Beach, who's down toward the rail. Mindframe on the far outside. Journalism between those two, just 4 from the front. Antiquarian, and it's 3 back to Sierra Leone and Baeza. 45.97 was the half mile. With 5 furlongs to run, Contrary Thinking leads the field up the Breeders' Cup Classic in front by a half a length, with Forever Young right alongside. Mindframe just to the outside of them, makes it 3 in a line. Fierceness just in behind with Journalism to his outside. Then Nevada Beach, Baeza, Sierra Leone between them, and Antiquarian is the trailer. Around the far turn, Forever Young pokes his head in front. Mindframe, and now Journalism confronts them. As Contrary Thinking drops back, Baeza is 4 wide. Fierceness in behind horses. Sierra Leone is right in contention too, as they make their way to the top of the stretch. And they're into the stretch in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And Forever Young turns for home with the lead. Journalism is second. Sierra Leone, Fierceness, 1 off the rail. Still Forever Young to catch. Fierceness is coming. Sierra Leone and Journalism, they're coming to the finish. And it is Forever Young. Celebrate Japan! They won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Sierra Leone was second. Fierceness was third in a final time of 2 minutes, 0.19 seconds.
Scored another one for Team Japan and Mr. Del Mar, the trainer Yahagi, Forever Young, your classic winner.
You could almost see it coming. He took 1 less trip to America this year. He was a fresher horse. Randy mentioned a brilliant race in Saudi. Rasul Sakai, his jockey, rode a brilliant race. He kept Fierceness trapped in all the way down the backside, all the way to the top of the stretch. He kicked away, and Fierceness was left struggling for a way to go. And then he just bested him to the wire.
The thing was, as good as Forever Young was in the Kentucky Derby last year, as good as he was to finish third in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, he then elevated his game to the next tier when they sent him overseas and he ran in the Saudi Cup. It was an unbelievable race in the Saudi Cup. Could he get back to that performance today? I think he did, and you see the result.
And a really good training job by his trainer to freshen him up and then wait and just come for this race. And again, Sierra Leone and Fierceness battling it out for second and third.
Fierceness did not have the best trip. The pacemaker dropped over in front of him. Forever Young and Sakai lapped on the outside of him, made him come out and go around, and he just wasn't good enough to catch up.
It wasn't the pacemaker that did anything.
The Japanese win another big one. Mr. Yahagi, the Cox Plate winning trainer from a few years ago, has done it. What a win. Forever Young, who was able to win the $7 million US Breeders' Cup on the dirt. And there's a big meeting over in Japan today, actually. The Tenno show is being run. Damien Lane is over there riding Tats Tierra, who we've seen race so well over in Hong Kong as well, Ollie. Yeah.
Obviously, he forgave Derby Day to go over there and ride it, so you must have a big opinion of it.
Yep. He'll be back, though, for the Cup on Tuesday. We'll take a quick break. You're watching The Verdict, our Melbourne Cup preview not far away. On the other side of this, have we found a new star sprinter?
To go across the track. Tentyris explodes through for Zara, took the front, draws clear from My Gladiola. Tentyris is pounding away, and Tentyris a spectacular win.
Oh, spectacular. It was another Coolmore for Godolphin. Well done to Team Freedman as well. They had to nurse this horse through a late start to the spring, and this was the target. Who knows? We may even see him back up in the sprint on Saturday. Let's have a look at the race from the start, Ollie, because I want you to talk me through this. He got a little bit of a squeeze out of the gates and he settled back. Maybe it was a blessing because he got good cover, Ollie, and he was explosive when that gap came.
That's right. Sometimes you have to die for the cause a little bit down the straight. You know, smother your horse up. Those horses are on the speed. We're working each other a little bit. Those speed horses don't get so rewarded down the straight. They lose that advantage of kicking off the bend. And it was a perfect ride by Mark, even though he was probably a little bit hemmed in away there. He needed the run, but when the run came there, he got there in plenty of time. And, you know, he went from being in an awkward position to be dominating a race really quickly.
You make a really good point with those on-speed horses, and Bayvakt was probably one of those. You saw as the pressure came on, he just got the wanders up a little bit, wanted to drift to his right slightly, and then he was picking up late and through the line, but the race was all over, whereas the winner and the runner-up, to a degree, were able to come through the field. So not necessarily looking for that corner. Bayvakt just a little bit in no man's land there, and it probably worked against him. But we've been waiting for a colt to stand up and announce themselves as, you know, hey, I'm the big dog here. Tentyris has been such a carefully planned program. Sam and Anthony Freedman, when they set one for a specific race, you know they're going to turn up at absolute peak of their powers. They're fantastic grand final target trainers when there's a big Group 1 on the line. Well,
He probably should have won the Blue Diamond. He was stiff. And then he went a miss before the Golden Slipper, where he may well have been the horse to beat in that race as well, Ollie. So he'd flown under the radar a little because of that and been off the scene. So I think the best horse won, there's no doubt about it. Even though I'm not sure we saw Bayvakt and Beedman first time down the straight at their best.
Yeah, possibly. But like I said, those speed horses, they lose their advantage down the straight. I'd much rather be on a horse that can relax and has got a strong finish down the straight. Generally, those horses are much better suited down the straight. You know, no disrespect to Adam Hieronymus there, but he hadn't ridden much down the straight. You could see he was looking for cover. And Flemington's just not a track you turn up to and expect to win. You've got to do your time there. And Mark's a local jockey. He's done the hard yards and, you know, he knows how to ride Flemington well.
Tell you what, there's a bet to be had in the upcoming Move to Strike Thoroughbred Club Stakes, the big $1 million fillies race. My Gladiola. When she goes there, boy, oh boy, she's going to be a play.
And another great ride from Jamie Mott too. From Gate 1, goes back there, looks through the bit of early cover, and she finished off really well.
Yeah, well, she was another one. She's not, you know, she's got a great turn of foot. You got to smother her away, put her away for that last burst, and yeah, she's been in really good form all spring.
And good to see Legacy Bound too for Robbie Griffiths run a nice race.
Really good run.
So I think there's a lot to come out of that. I contacted Sam Freedman, had a chat to him, and also Andy Mackiff. They've said that the champion sprint has been on the radar from the start. They knew they were going to be third up into the Coolmore, and at this stage, there's no reason why they won't back up on Saturday. Great. So, geez, it'll be good. Giga Kick, Jolie Star, and the new boy on the block.
Yeah, if we get Tentyris backing up and Pride of Jenni as well off day one into the final day, it's fantastic.
Let's have a look at the last. Punters were rejoicing at Flemington. Favourites were coming in everywhere. And for EJ supporters, it was a good moment for New York Luster. Again, cover, Ollie, and finish strong.
Yeah, nice win here. They didn't go quite as quick in this race. They sat up a little bit more. So, yeah, you could just see Carleen Hefel peeling off the back of the Godolphin horse there and sailed down the outside.
Good chaser, New York Luster. I think at Caulfield last start, she was just exposed a little bit and did a little bit of work outside the lead there. She had something to carry her to the 200, and she does have a neat turn of foot back end of her race. I think this race was robbed a little bit of star power when Generosity came out. Arabian Summer was probably left to carry that flag a little bit with She's Bulletproof, who's just mixing her form a little bit. I think that track was quick yesterday. Expected a better performance from her, but look, it's great to see smaller stables get a win on a big day like that. And EJ's a really good horseman. He would have loved that win.
And Carleen, you can see the smile on her face.
Yeah.
It's a big moment for her to win a race on Derby Day.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like the Geelong Cup. Like, you know, you see these jockeys win the races and you see them grinning from a mile out. You don't see it in every race, but the ones you do, you think, oh, that's pretty cool. They're enjoying their work.
Outstanding work by EJ and Carleen. We'll take a quick break on the verdict. On the other side, we're going to have a look at the two big races in Sydney. Autumn Glow stood up again, undefeated, and Jimmy Starr was a star.
The countdown is over. Cup Week is here, and the stage is set for a week that will define legends. Monday, it all begins. At the call of the card, Australia's biggest punters make their move. Fortunes wagered, reputations on the line. Tuesday, time stands still. It's Melbourne Cup Day, the race that stops the nation, where history waits at the finish line. Wednesday kicks off with a special Oaks Day analyser with Ben and Dave before tradition takes over at Kyneton Cup Day. Thursday, it's elegance and drama on Oaks Day, where fashion meets fierce competition. Friday night, the spotlight shifts. Pakenham takes centre stage for Ladbrokes Friday night racing. Fast, furious and full of surprises. And then Saturday, it's the grand finale, Champion Stakes Day at Flemington. Can Via Sistina go back-to-back and carve her name into racing folklore? When the dust settles, the verdict unpacks it all on Sunday morning. And Sunday Sesh keeps the punting pulse alive. 1 week, one network, Racing.com, where legends are made.
Get any better than that? It is Cup Week on Racing.com. We've got every angle covered for you. And don't forget, our Melbourne Cup preview. The boys have promised you the winner of the Cup. We'll see how they go. Which boy? Let's go to Sydney now. We touched on Jimmy Starr with Ciaron Maher and the perfect ride from Ethan Brown here. Ollie, he just plotted his path, waited his time and let Jimmy do what Jimmy does.
Yeah, he sure did. Beautiful ride there by Ethan. He's really clicked with this horse and he's riding so well in Sydney and he just, weaved his way through and Jimmy was too good.
He's got a great turn of foot, this horse. It was the wettest track he'd been on, but no problems at all. The market told you that the confidence was there around him. Lady Shenandoah back running a good race. Michael Otchide won at 80 to 1 in this race. And on the corner, I thought, I'm a shout here. Coal Crusher will go to the Hunter and he'll win the Hunter. He is flying, that horse. Yeah. He ran a phenomenal race there at a huge price running fourth.
And how well is the CF4 stacking up in its new place this year? You've got Jimmy Starr. The plan is to back Giga Kick up from the sprint into the CF4 and Angel Capital as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really good race. Absolutely.
Be a cracker. Let's have a look at the new super girl of Australian racing who kept her undefeated run intact in the Golden Eagle Autumn Glow. I just don't know where the bottom is with this horse, Ollie, because every time she's asked, she produces.
Yeah, she does, but she's been really well placed, I reckon, too. Hasn't really... she won the Epsom, of course, but she's been super well placed and perfect ride by J-Mac, too. He had the race in his grasp the whole way. He knew where his dangers were, and it was a nice win there. But a great run from Sepals as well.
Oh, yeah. Well done to Cliff Brent. $2 million for second, and Cliff's not an overly aggressive placer of his horses to say, we'll have a crack after that disappointing run, and they've been paid off handsomely.
And Evaporate as well.
Yep.
He's had a frustrating prep for the connections, and I know Lindsay Park team have so much confidence and belief in this horse. They haven't got that really big win that they've been chasing, but there might be a little option somewhere for him. He's racing so well.
Yep, absolutely. How would you like to be involved in a horse for nothing? We've got a chance with our great friends at My Racehorse, who have got so many good horses. Who knows? This 2-year-old Dundee colt could be in the Derby next year for Matty Kamani, just like he went so well yesterday, and we are giving away free shares with thanks to My Racehorse. Just scan the QR code there or jump on myracehorse.com.au/AU the verdict, and we will give away 5 free shares in this horse on tomorrow's Verdict podcast. Huge Melbourne Cup edition with Carl Diorio, and the Shark will dissect the entire race. So make sure you download the podcast, have a listen, and I will announce the winners for the My Racehorse competition on the podcast tomorrow. Quick break. On the other side of this, we'll wrap up Derby Day and look ahead to the Melbourne Cup. All right, it is time for us to give a few prognostications and a crystal ball as well. On track, off track, we tell you what's going well, we tell you what's going bad, and hopefully we can try and predict the future. I don't think it's worked yet, but we'll still try to do so. All right, my on track, it's a pretty obvious one. Low-hanging fruit, Mark Zahra. No one is riding better than Mark at the moment. What about you, Ollie?
Tentyris, if he backs up in the Champion Stakes on the final day. And I also thought Engzudo was a bit unlucky there. Should have won yesterday as well.
Tony Otterbray and the Otterbray family on track. And I think he might be talking to a tailor to get a few more pockets in his suit for next year if Pride of Jenni's going to keep running. They didn't have anywhere else to put the cash yesterday.
What a marvel at 8 years of age. All right, my off-track Melbourne weather. I know yesterday was a cracker, but they're talking about 14 degrees on Cup Day. Are you
Beautiful.
serious?
Love that.
We're in November. Liam O'Keefe will give us the latest on the weather and the track soon, but that's not a Cup Day.
My off-track is chopper and tracking shots. Can we drop them off, please? You can't see how your horse is travelling in the run.
Agreed.
It's all right for a little flick to see, you know, I know, different angle for people, but just give us the encore shot so you can at least see how your horse is going.
That stuff is great when you're looking at reviews and replays, but I agree, live in run, it's tough.
Yeah.
Pride of Jenni knockers are off track. If you haven't got around this horse yet, what is wrong with you? She's an absolute dream to watch. She brings people excitement and joy at the races. You want to knock her and say, oh, jockeys put pressure on. Just enjoy her, you know. Have something on her. Have $10 on her every time she runs. At least you can cheer if she does what she does yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you who's not cheering Pride of Jenni. That's the bookmakers. My crystal ball is by the end of the Spring Carnival, hopefully, the punters who have got a lead on Derby Day, it will continue, and it's tough times for the bookies this Cup week.
My crystal ball, Frankie Dettori. Will he make another comeback? He's retired again for the second time. Could be a third time lucky for Frankie. Who knows?
What about you, Ollie? Is there anything you'd like to announce this morning?
You never know. You never know.
By the sound of your dinner plans this week, I think you're pretty comfortable in retirement.
Those high weights on a Tuesday.
Crystal ball, look, we might see him in the Sydney Derby, Observer, but that'll be the last time we see this horse beyond 2,000 metres. He won't be extended past that as an older horse. He'll be a Cox Plate horse, hopefully, of the future.
Yeah, he could be. He could be. Speaking of stars, we saw plenty on the track yesterday, but I think we saw an even bigger star who was on course for the first time in a long time, and that is Tom Prebble. We all know what he's been going through. He's spoken so beautifully this week in an article on Idle Horse, and then yesterday he had a chat to the team on Channel 9, and it was good to see both Brett and Tom on the track yesterday.
Yeah, from here down, I obviously can't feel anything because I'm a T4, T5 complete. Yeah. So unfortunately, I got no sensation, and it's been 2 months now, and they basically kind of declared me as, complete. No fault of anyone's. The horse just had a stumble in the last race at Warrnambool. It was a wet track. Maybe I can't blame anyone for it, but yeah, he stumbled. He went head first, and so did I. And unfortunately, from then on, I couldn't feel anything below my chest level.
It's hard to put into words the courage that he's shown, Ollie. I mean, you know, because you've been riding in it, you had a really bad spinal injury yourself, but his courage to come back so soon.
Oh, he's an incredibly brave man, and Brett too, you know, you just feel for them, but him out there, I mean, I urge people to get behind him and really support him. He's the loveliest kid you would ever meet, and it's just so terribly sad, but his bravery and his courage, since this has happened, you just got to admire him.
And this is how you can support, because they've announced yesterday a GoFundMe page. Obviously, for Tom, everything needs to be reconfigured. He can't wait until he can get home. He's currently doing rehab. He wants to get home to his mum. So GoFundMe donations, jump on the GoFundMe page. Anything as little as $1 to as much as you want. If you have a win on Derby Day, give a little bit of good karma back and jump on there. They want to raise around about $230,000. It's gone extremely well, as you would imagine, because the racing industry wraps their arms around anyone who's in need, and we're up to around about $178,000. So we don't just want $230,000, we want to smash that. And it is good to see Tom out there with his family. We wish them all the best. All right, we need to take a quick break. On the other side of this, it's our look at the Lexus Melbourne Cup.
From near and far come the excited crowds, for the Melbourne Cup is on.
Our Melbourne Cup. Born in 1861 on the back of a goldfield boom, now one of the most cherished trophies in world sports. The challenge, beat the handicapper. None bettered, Bart Cummings. His record 12 Melbourne Cups will never be broken. Bobby Lewis and Harry White share riding honours at 4.
And
Historians chronicle the Melbourne Cup as winners inspire. Farlap, revered as a legend. Rising Fast, Australia's greatest staying handicapper. Frank Rays and the ride of his life. Dermot Weld, who globalised the Cup with Vintage Crop.
Nick, but Vintage Crop has got him. Vintage Crop, the Irish horse will win the Melbourne Cup. Vintage Crop.
Sheila Laxon, the first female trainer to win the Cup. Damien Oliver's treble punctuated by honouring a fallen brother.
And media puzzle. Damien and Dermot have done it.
I'd give it back right now to have my brother back.
Glenn Boss's trio came via awe-inspiring mare Makybe Diva.
But a champion becomes a legend. Makybe Diva has won it.
Michelle Payne's tectonic moments.
Princeton Pit dances history in Flemington. Michelle Payne.
From Archer to Knight's Choice, the principle remains the same. Be the best 3,200 metre horse under handicap conditions.
What a magnificent finish to the Cup.
On the grandest stage in November.
Oh, it gives you a little shiver, doesn't it? The Lexus Melbourne Cup come 3 o'clock on Tuesday. We will all be stopping, waiting and watching. We've assembled over the next hour an expert panel. We'll have Lee Mottershead with the international thoughts. We'll have Ben Asgari, one of the great judges who has had one of the biggest fill-ups on Derby Day I've ever heard of. And we will have Matt Hill, the man who will call it. And of course, between us, we've won 3 Melbourne Cups. Ollie, this is outstanding. Let's have a look at the final field. The barrier draws last night have made it interesting, especially with our riffer, barrier 19.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not that familiar with him. You know, with the wet track coming, he's going to have to carry his weight. Obviously, with the wet track, it'll make it a little bit harder, but he's talked up as Joseph O'Brien's best horse he's brought out, and he's won it twice, so it'll be interesting to see how he does cope carrying that big weight.
We've seen great European stayers like Yates come out here and fail, you know, under the weight and the conditions out here. So it is a serious test for our riffer. He is the best horse in the race, absolutely. That's why he's at the top of the handicap. But it's all ahead of him to do from that gate. Maidan's drawn out wide in 22 as well. Half Yours has drawn a nice gate. Now, Ollie, you've won 3 Cups. How important is the barrier draw over 3,200 with that long straight?
Well, it can be important. I mean, it depends on the structure of the race. I'm not seeing a great deal of pace in this race unless something comes out of the woodwork. So a good gate could be important to hold a good position. The
other X factor is the weather. What is it going to be doing? How will Flemington perform on Cup Day? Let's have a chat to Liam O'Keefe. He'd be very happy with how the track was on Derby Day. Liam, great to have you on The Verdict. We're all on weather watch. It looks beautiful out there at the moment, but how much rain is coming tomorrow and, more importantly, on Cup Day?
Yeah, beautiful day today, Michael. Top of 29 today, a little bit breezy now, but the rain's going to come in tonight around midnight, and that's set to continue fairly heavily until about 10 p.m. on Monday night, and then it just tends to showers through until Tuesday evening. So the forecast now is about 20 to 40 mil to fall in that period, and then about 5 mil on Cup Day.
Well, that's not too bad, Liam, because I guess the worry for you can't control Mother Nature. So what you get in the next, 24, 48 hours is out of your hands. But Cup Day, rain during the race meeting, track gets opened up, that would be your concern. So a revised forecast of 5 mil, you'd be relieved?
Yeah, it's probably just crept down a little bit over the last 3 or 4 days for Tuesday, which has been good. Monday's always been fairly solid right the way through. But you're right, the Cup Day, big fields, 174 acceptances, and we've already had a meeting on the track. So if we can get away with 1 or 2 mil on Cup Day, I'd probably take that, because then hopefully we're on a slightly improving heavy surface that, may get into the soft range at some stage. Would probably be a great result.
So, Liam, it's Ollie here. What have you done with the track between yesterday, and what would the track currently be now, and where do you expect it to get to by Tuesday?
Yeah, I've just done a going sit this morning, Ollie, and it's rated a good 3. So very similar to yesterday afternoon. We didn't apply any water with the forecast that's ahead. We're mowing the track at 4.5 inches now. The team are moving the running rail out to the 2 metre position for Cup Day, and then we'll apply some fertiliser this afternoon just to carry the track through the week. So Monday's going to be a wipeout for us. We'll just stay completely off the track, make sure that we're clearing any casual water with that heavy rainfall, and make sure that the drains are all running well. And then hopefully we can come here on Tuesday and the weather is relatively clear.
So you think the most likely scenario is we'll be on a soft track for the Cup?
I would think if we get 20 to 40 mil, we would be on a heavy track at the end of that rainfall, but then it comes down to what actually happens on the day. If we don't get any rain on the day, I'd be confident that we'll get back into the soft range, but if we just get continuous showers throughout the day, which is forecast, it won't get a chance to improve. So I'd be working on a soft 7, heavy 8, and you won't be far away.
All right, mate, good luck, especially on Monday with the weather. Now, you are the self-anointed best judge of track managers, so who wins the Cup?
I like Al Riffa. He'll run the trip. He likes rain-affected ground and he's in form, and he's got the informed jockey of the carnival so far, Mark Zara, so I think he'd be a good each-way bet.
Good on you, Liam. Good luck.
Thank you.
Let's hope it's closer to 20 and not 40.
Could
so
be,
we get
could be a heavy track. So, I wonder how much of an impact that has trying to carry 59 kilos for Al Riffa.
As far as tipsters are concerned, the Bureau of Meteorology do tend to get it wrong from time to time. So they've given themselves a bit of a buffer, haven't they? 20 to 40 mils tomorrow. So, yeah, fingers crossed it's at the lower end. Look, I think if it's improving... I remember a few Melbourne Cups ago, poured raining in the morning and the track just continued to improve during the day.
Yeah.
I don't think, and Liam said, the track is not at that standard these days.
Yeah.
The key is, I think, what happens on race day. If it stops the night before and we don't get it on race day, like you said, it can improve to be soft, which would be probably the best result for everyone. But if it rains during the day and it's opened up, that's when it can deteriorate.
The rides make a lot of differences in a Melbourne Cup. Quick snapshot, best way to ride a Melbourne Cup to make sure you can have every chance?
Oh, a little bit depends on how the races run. You know, if there's genuine pace, you probably want to be coming off the second half, I feel. But if they don't go that quick, then I think a good draws will really help. And you want that sort of run, you know, not too far off the speed, probably in the front half,
Who are you with this year?
I'm with Valiant King. I love the Caulfield Cup form. I thought he ran great there. He didn't have the best of luck, but he hit the line really strong. He's got 51 kilos on his back. He's drawn okay. Jai's won the race before. He does need to give him a good ride, but he's my top pick. Pressage Nocturne, I thought was a great run in the Caulfield Cup as well. Half yours, well, he's on the front page of today's paper, so that's going to make it hard for him.
Hold that up. What are they?
Sorry, McAvoy's.
What are they
Jamie.
doing?
What are they doing?
And Maidan's my fourth pick, but I'm thinking that I like what I see in the Caulfield Cup. It's always a good lead up, and most of those horses can handle some soft ground too.
So it's the greatest Moz, isn't it? Front page of the Herald Sun, Group 1 Moz Deluxe.
I'll tell you what, he'll want to be bloody good, that's for sure. Another win for Waller and Jai McNeil, according to Ollie. Outstanding work, mate. Enjoy the rest of Cup Week. We'll see you on the Verdict next Sunday.
Thanks for having us.
Damien Oliver. After the break, we'll be joined by the international guru Lee Mottershead from Racing Post and our local form expert Ben Asgari as we dissect this year's Melbourne Cup. All right, punters, get your pens poised because we've got the sharpest minds to dissect this year's Lexus Melbourne Cup. Great to welcome onto the program an international expert who has made Melbourne his second home because he loves the Melbourne Cup Carnival so much. Lee Mottershead from the Racing Post. Great to see you, my friend.
I love the flat whites too. You have the best coffee in the world. So I'd be proud.
OK, very good. I wonder whether it will be another international year this year. We'll start with those, but we are very privileged to have Ben Asgari here. He's taken time out from counting all his winnings from yesterday to join us this morning. How are you, Benny?
Terrific to be with you guys. Yeah, attention turns to the Melbourne Cup, but if we want to reminisce about Derby Day and get for any more, it was just one of the great days. I had a wedding yesterday. Can you believe that?
Wow. That's not.
Sister-in-law's wedding. But taking in the Racing.com coverage.
You started off very badly in the family.
Yeah. So anyway, It was a great day yesterday, and it's going to be a good cup looking forward. I'm glad we've got Lee because we really need to get our head around some of these internationals. I think they hold the key to the race this year, and also got one of the great international judges as well as Lee, and Sharknado, who started off making his reputation with this sort of thing. So
long time ago, Ben. Yes, but yeah, it's been good fun watching the various imports come over and roll the dice and have a crack at trying to win the Melbourne Cup. Some have succeeded, some not so good.
Well, let's wind the clock back for us, Shah.
Well, he's hanging on, don't worry. He's hanging on to that. Let's start with number one, our Riffer, and he probably is the most intriguing. There's no doubt he's the best performed, but that's why he's got 59 kilos. And since metrics have come in 1970, no horse has won the Cup with 59 kilos. Kingston Town's run second. Mark Zahra is in outstanding form. A heavy track, he gets through that, a soft track as well. But Lee, tell us, how good is our Riffer compared to some of the internationals we know?
So I think where he differs to some of the internationals who's come out in the past is that he's a genuine middle distance Group 1 horse. He's not a Group 1 2-miler in Europe, he's a Group 1 middle distance horse. And he's a horse who last year chased home City of Troy in an eclipse. He was a Group 1 2-year-old winner over 7 furlongs. His win in the Irish St Leger, whilst you might say, you know, this is a staying race, well, it is. But he's won it pretty much on the bridle. His class has got him through the race. The horse who finishes just behind him, Amalok, has run 4th today in the Breeders' Cup turf. So it's good. It's good form. And you see he cruises up on the outside. He's got bags of class. He's got a turn of foot. Ground-wise, I mean, this was run on the easy side of good.
Yep.
But his Eclipse run was on soft ground. His National Stakes win as a 2-year-old was on soft ground. So I don't think conditions will be against him. You might argue that if we did get a heavy track, would he get the trip? But he'll be ridden to get the distance. And I think if he's there turning for home, his class might seem through.
He's a bit like a Gold Trip in that way. He's got plenty of class. Yeah. And we saw what Gold Trip did a couple of years ago. He has fairly hacked up his last couple.
He has.
It's been borderline embarrassing how he's just picked his way through his opposition and put them to the sword. So, without doubt, you have to factor him in as a winning chance. You almost got to park, Lee, I reckon, the 59 kilos. You've got to park that and just consider that
you can't ignore it, though.
Depth of
no horses carried it.
You can't, but they knew what he was going to get.
Yeah.
The weight isn't a surprise. You know, Joseph O'Brien is a dual Melbourne Cup winner. He knows what it takes. He knew this horse would get a whopping weight. I mean, the physical burden in itself isn't too harsh. You know, he's used to carrying weights. It's 9 stone 4 in our money. That's not extraordinary. It's what he's giving away, but he's giving away weight largely to horses who are pretty exposed, who we know where we are. Al Riffer actually at this sort of distance has potential upside. He could be even better when he gets over a trip.
Can win?
I think he's one of the better winning chances in the race. Yes, he's got some weight in his back, and I think if we do get into testing heavy ground, then that makes that impost over the 2 miles a little bit more significant. But I can't ignore the class this horse has got. And Lee's point that he's a middle distance European horse as opposed to the staying type, I think significant. That's the type that comes over here, as Sharkie touched on, like a Gold Trip, because we don't have those genuine stayers. They usually have the turn of foot at the end of 2 miles. And do you know what I really love about this horse? Mark Zahra booked for him. He's just absolutely flying. And we're talking about, you know, there's a little bit of a chat around he drew poorly when the barrier draw came out. Come race 7 on Tuesday on a rain-affected track, you've got Mark Zahra. He might be able to slot in 3 wide, 2 wide with cover. I think like the year when it was rain-affected that Gold Trip won, you probably are going to want to be well away from the inside section. It might be a good draw. I think if you're playing multiples, it has to go in everything. And if you're playing the race seriously, he needs to be a winner for you. He's just the best horse.
Let's have a look at Presage Nocturne, another of the internationals we want to highlight. And we do know this with the relevancy factor because it was a great run in the Caulfield Cup. Just changed colours too, by the way. Let's have a look at the Caulfield Cup and the way he ran home. Trained by Alessandro Botti, and I thought Stefan Pasquier rode Caulfield beautifully. Where did you have this horse in your ratings, Lee, before the Caulfield Cup?
Not particularly high. He's a horse who, among European stayers, going into this race, you would not have said he was taking particularly high rank. He had decent group form, but he certainly wasn't a horse who you'd expect to see winning a Gold Cup or a race like that. I thought over a mile and a half in a Caulfield Cup, he would really struggle. And yet, that was a massive PB. He's almost certain to improve for getting to Flemington, getting over 3,200. My one question mark about him, in some ways, is the thing that I thought going into race was a certainty, in that I thought he'd be a much better horse on really soft ground. But I was speaking to the trainer yesterday. He was saying, you know, I think soft ground, we're going to be great. Heavy ground, I don't know. That run at Caulfield Cup was a big PB. His run in Riyadh was a big run, and they've come on fast ground, certainly relative to what we're going to get on Tuesday. So he's in my top 4, but I just wouldn't be necessarily certain if he'll thrive on really deep ground.
Well, speaking of Alessandro Botti, Ed Sadler was out at Werribee, caught up with him this morning. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, the distance is a really good distance for us. Last time is the first race here. I preferred 2,400 meters, but I finished very well. I think that is better now.
All right, Sharkie, have you got him in your numbers?
Absolutely. I think, take what Lee's saying about heavy ground, but he gets through soft ground, he gets through rain-affected tracks, and the thing is, when you watch his French replays, he stays on, and he still has pace at the back end of a 3,000-metre race. I think there are a lot of horses in this race, as there are every year, that'll be feeling the pinch at the 200. Presage Nocturne will continue to run through the line. That's a big plus.
Yeah, fastest last 200 metres of the Caulfield Cup. When my concerns going in was this horse just looks like he is not going to be competitive till he gets to 2 miles at Flemington. So what he was able to do there over 2,400, I do share those heavy track concerns. I noticed he failed one day when he got onto a heavy track and failed dismally. So soft form looks good, but look, it's so variable. Liam O'Keefe was naturally being conservative, but if they get... This track is going to be rock solid before the rain hits. If they only get 20, I know 20 to 40 is different. 40 with a few showers on the day, we're going to be on heavy ground. If they get 20, it could be a soft 5 if the rain doesn't fall on race day. So it's a huge variability at this stage. Look, I think he's, again, one of the better winning chances of the race. Got to make him a winner, got to go in everything.
And he is one of the favourites at around about $9. Let's have a look at Absurd. This is his 3rd crack at the Melbourne Cup. First time, though, he's come through a Caulfield Cup, and Willie Mullins, they're hopeful he'll make it for the Cup after winning the Breeders' Cup. He's due to jump on a plane, and Ciaron McAvoy, he will match the great Harry Watt if he can win his 4th Melbourne Cup.
So here's a form line for you. Back in March, County Hurdle, Cheltenham Festival, Absurd finished 3rd, giving 1.5 kilos to Ethical Diamond, who beat it, who was 3 1/4 lengths behind, 3/4 of a length behind him. So that's not the sort of form line you expect going into a Melbourne Cup.
Great form line.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a fascinating horse because he's been here before. 2 cracks of the Cup. You'd say, why should it be any different this time? He's just come up short before. But he's a horse who I think has looked better physically in himself at Wetherby. They're happier in how his coat is. They haven't had to clip him. They've tried something different by going via a Caulfield Cup, where he ran a fair race, a bit like in last year's Melbourne Cup. He had his momentum halted at key stages. You can argue his European flat form this year isn't as good as it has been in previous years, but they're training him for a handicap. They didn't want him winning group races by 4 lengths because this was always the aim. You'd say 3rd time lucky, maybe not, but he's trained by genius, Willie Mullins. Great jockey. I absolutely would not put it past Willie Mullins because I wouldn't put anything past Willie Mullins.
It's the only box he hasn't ticked in
and
his
career. And it's the box
really.
he wants to tick most.
Yep. Is he a winner? He's a $25 chance.
I think he's a horse you'd put in your exotics. If he bobs up, you'd hate to not have him in a quaddie or a first four or a trifecta. It's like the fact that they keep coming back with the horse. We've seen a lot of good Europeans, you know, Persian Punch, Prince of Baron. All these horses keep coming back. That's a great thing. There's a lot of criticism about imports and we don't know the form. So when the horses come back year after year, I enjoy that.
And whilst ideally he'd like quicker ground than he's going to get on Tuesday, he'll handle it in a way that others won't. His biggest ever win over hurdles was on really heavy ground. Yeah. So he will handle it.
Can't back him, but I do have a big respect for the stable, and it's not going to surprise you if Willie Mullins does anything. So, but you got to put the pen through some of them, don't you? Because there's 24 in it, so he's one that I will. But I think he's great for the race.
Let's have a look at Meydan now. We saw him in a Caulfield Cup as well. He's drawn 22, but J-Mac jumps on board. He was a really good run, the Caulfield Cup. He got lost there. Simon Crisford had a chat after the barrier draw yesterday or last night. This is what he had to say.
Ed Crisford, great to have you back in town for the Melbourne Cup. Meydan, I guess the draw's not ideal heading into Tuesday?
No, I mean, 22 is, yeah, it's a tough draw. But I guess on a wet track, you're probably better on the outside than the inside, which we're due to have 30 mil of rain on Monday and more on Tuesday. So, but you know, look, the draw's the draw. It's the luck of the draw. It's up to J-Mac now.
That was Ed Crisford, obviously. Prior to the Caulfield Cup, they were saying he's a better 2,400 than 3,200 metre horse. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they came out with the Caulfield Cup as a race. They thought he had the best chance of winning. The problem with the Caulfield Cup was Caulfield. He didn't handle the track. He didn't come down the hill. In the circumstances, he has run a perfectly respectable race. I think he'll definitely better for Flemington than Caulfield. I think there's every reason to think he'll be a fully effective horse over 2 miles. Something else Ed was saying yesterday was that he feels the horse has woken up for the Caulfield Cup, as though the run has really done him good. I think he's got 2 ways of running. I think he runs very good races and pretty disappointing races. If he runs the race he ran at Kempton in the September Stakes when he chased home Givolotto and Kalpana, who both went on to run big races in the Arc, he's a player.
I'm off him big time. I think he's a huge query at the trip. I don't think he'll stay 2 miles. I think they may have been smarter to get a bit of the thick end of the prize money by coming back on the last day and going to 2,000 metres. I think he's got none.
Okay.
Bold.
Big positive jockey change for this horse. I think that's a plus for his chances. I like him getting to Flemington, like Lee said, but look, you got to have an opinion somewhere, and I question him in testing ground at the 2 miles, so I'm against him.
OK, here's $15 with J-Mac on board. Let's have a look at further. This is one of the internationals that's flown under the radar. Good luck to Lizzie Jelfs and the Aussie connections who have bought in, trained by Andrew Balding. Mickey D rides. How good is this horse, Lee?
He's good. He's not great. I mean, he was a progressive 3-year-old stayer in Britain this year. This was the Geoffrey Freer Stakes, a Group 3 race at Newbury. He produced a dominant performance on this day. There'd been some decent efforts before that. He was disappointing subsequent to this in the final British Classic, the St Leger. Now, the problem there was soft ground. And that has to be an issue going into the race on Tuesday. The draw will help him. They were really concerned going into the barrier draw that he'd land something right on the inside because he's a big, long-striding horse. Key to him is getting into a rhythm, which from 7 he should be able to do, but they'll be on weather watch.
So you can't win?
I'm not saying he can't win because he's got that old, traditional Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old profile. I'd be surprised if he could win.
Yes or no?
If you speak to his new part owner, Lizzie Jelfs, he's an absolute moral. I'm concerned off that St Leger run with the soft track, rain coming, young horse. It's a big task.
Really interesting profile, but given the conditions, I think I'll be against him.
And I think that could be salient for our next horse, One Smooth Operator. So good to see this horse win the Moonee Valley Gold Cup for Brian Ellison, who's been coming to try and win the Melbourne Cup for 20 years as an 8-year-old. Things went awry on the eve of the Cup last year, and I fear the weather may curtail his chances. Yeah,
I think Mother Nature might be the problem this time. His run in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup was tremendous, albeit in a pretty ordinary race. He's just one of these that gets better when he comes to Australia. The horse loves the place, the trainer loves the place, but he's worried about the ground, and rightly so. Ed Sadler caught up with Brian. Let's have a listen to what he said this morning.
Brian, One Smooth Operator, barrier 6, your reaction to that?
Yeah, no, it's a great draw. Really happy with it. You know, the horse is in good form. Harry Coffey rode him this morning. Really liked him, worked well. At the moment, everything's good, so...
How would you like Harry to ride him on Tuesday?
I have to take your time, just jump out and just slot him in. I'll leave it. We'll work it with Harry, but...
It'll be one of the fairy tale stories for Brian and Harry Coffey after winning the Caulfield Cup last year.
If he happens to win, it'll be one of the great post-race interviews.
Wow. We'll need subtitles.
Can go on a couple of tangents there. He should be called one tough bugger, this horse, because he just keeps finding the line. Last year he had a hoof problem. He still ran on.
Yep.
Track might be against him, yes, but at least you know he'll give his all. He's in great form, loves Australia.
There was a great winning chance last year, and he did have that little setback, didn't he? So maybe we can be forgiving of the performance, and he didn't have an ideal run. I don't know if he's got the class as a stronger race than last year, and the conditions are probably against him. But there's a case to be made at least, even though I won't have him in my numbers.
Now, Lee, they are the internationals you wanted to highlight. Now, the last couple of years, you've wanted to marry Vauban.
Don't.
I see you're divorced right now.
Vauban is the bain-marie of my life.
Have you crept into the DMs of Vauban while you've been out here, just to say hello again?
Gay's line to me the other day was that he's a horse who's had angst. And punting on him, I've had angst. I've had angst. And yet, I've had to have a few quid in, because if Vauban wins a Melbourne Cup and I've not backed him, I will go high. Absolutely. So, of course, I've had something on him. Of course, it'll be the same outcome. But, listen, he's Vauban, isn't he? He will actually like the ground. Whether he's equipped to win a Melbourne Cup, I don't know.
All right, who are you tipping then this year?
So I think Al Riffer's class will outlike Shark. I think there's a lot of gold trip about his profile. I think the soft ground will lead to the race being run in a way that will suit him. I think horses will be coming back to him, which he'll like. I love River of Stars. You go back to her European form, her run in a Group 1 at Longchamp weekend last year. She revelled in the ground. I think she's screaming for 2 miles. Absurd, Willie Mullins. I think he'd be bang there again, because we know he runs his race in the Melbourne Cup. And as long as he's OK on the ground, and if we don't get too heavy, I think Presage Nocturne will be finding it. I think he's a great chance of fourth.
Hey, Lee, you're outstanding every time you come out here. We love Lethal and all the work you do on the Racing Post website as well. Enjoy Cup Day.
I shall.
And good luck.
You're very kind.
On the punt as well.
I'll need it. Thank you.
Lee Mottershead, the best in the business from the UK. On the other side of this, we're going to have the best in the business here, because Matty Hill, the voice of the Melbourne Cup, will join us as we go through the rest of the runners in this year's Cup. Hope you're enjoying our preview of the 2025 Lexus Melbourne Cup. We brought in the big guns now just to steady us and make sure our focus is laser sharp. None better than Matty Hill, who is preparing for his 9th Melbourne Cup behind the microphone. Matty, great to see you, mate.
Good to see you, Mick. Well, it's just Christmas for adults, isn't it? It's just the absolute best time of year. I'm still coming down from yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this is a little bit of a worry, because 12 months ago we all sat here and I don't think we gave Knight's Choice much of a chance. So we're a little bit more cautious this year, I think.
Not Sharkie, just puts a pen through whichever horse they are. All right, let's have a look at our next runner, who's been a bit of a late entry into the Melbourne Cup contention, and I'm so glad they are taking their chance. Buckaroo. Waller, Williams, a little bit of rain won't hurt this horse, Matty. Have you got him as a winning chance?
Well, he's a winning chance. I haven't got him in my numbers, but I mean, you can't ignore he's chasing Via Sistina in a Cox Plate. Of course, Gold Trip was luckless in a Cox Plate before going on to win a Melbourne Cup. So you can't ignore this run. The only question mark I have is I heard Chris Waller during the week say that he's never seen a more exhausted horse after running in the Melbourne Cup last year when covering extra ground, wasn't given the absolute A ride 12 months ago. That worries me. You need a solid 2-miler for a Melbourne Cup, and I'm just not sure if he's it.
He's going to get a much more economical run from the gate that he's got this year, and he does have a turn of foot. Goes OK on soft ground. If it gets really heavy, I'm not sure that's what he wants. I'm inclined to take him on with 57.
Yeah. You're not a fan of Buckaroo. Oh, I think the soft gate gives him a chance. What about you, Benny?
No, I'm against him. At the price, he's relatively short. It's great he's in the race. Look, hitting the line hard in a Cox Plate behind a star is very good form. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, and look, he wasn't given much hope last year, was he? It was a good run under the circumstances, but it was a weaker cup. It might be more of a staying test this year even than it was last year, which flattened him. So I think I have to be against him at the price.
Well, if it's a staying test, I wonder if that'll suit Arapaho, of course, the Sydney Cup winner. But I must say, on his current form, I find it hard to see him in the finish.
Well, Sydney Cup winner, so he ticks the box of being a 2-miler, so he'll get the trip. But yeah, he's sort of heading towards the twilight of his career. He's 9 years of age. He's got good soft form. He's had 19 goes on the soft for 6 wins, 3 minors. Heavy track form's good too. 9 starts for 2 wins and 4 minors. But having said that, what you just mentioned, Mick, is so true. He's run 8th in a Bendigo Cup. That's not a Melbourne Cup winner.
The thing about the Bendigo Cup is it was a good run. That race is overperforming in recent years relative to the prices these horses are going around. So it's almost becoming like the right race to get through. He will love the wet, and if he could get back to his Sydney Cup form, then I think he could win it. But I just don't think he's going as well this preparation.
Yeah, I don't think he'll win, but he could spoil a few trifectas of first fours by running to his best with his toe in.
He's a 50-1 pop, so if you like him, you're getting good value there. Let's have a look at the next horse that we want to focus on, and this is Vauban. Now, if you're a bit burnt like Lee Mottershead, it's probably hard to come back again. I think we just got to put the Caulfield Cup out of our mind. It was too bad to be true, Matty. Was that the Caulfield track, or is he just not good enough?
Well, the thing is, he's proven that he can be certainly a top 5, top 10 chance in a Melbourne Cup, but I'm a little bit against horses too, and I agree with Mick. It's lovely to see these horses because we get to know them over the years, but repeat offenders, I'm afraid. And look, has a massive positive with Ray Chin. He's riding just about as well as anyone in the world at the moment, and has the Gay Waterhouse polish on this run we're seeing, yes, but I don't think he'll figure.
No, look, his first year out here, he actually hit the front with about 400 to go, didn't he? And then he fell in a big hole. Last year, they tried something different. They rode him back to finish off. He didn't finish off. I'm off him.
Yeah, I can't be with him. I thought, look, how many excuses do we want to make for a horse to continue battling up for him?
He fizzes up with big crowds as well.
No, I think there's got to be better winning chances than him.
This is a horse I need you to help us out with, Sharkie, because it's the Japanese. You love your Japanese form. Chevalier Rose, Damien Lane, who's over riding the Tenno show today, will be back to ride this in the Melbourne Cup. How's her current form at the moment?
Well, it's not great, but he hasn't probably been raced in suitable events in Japan. So at his best, at the right distance, and you see him here win the Stayers Stakes, you'd say, oh, well, he's right in the thick of things. But this was a little while ago now, November of last year. And since then, OK, hasn't been in races at 3,000 metres plus that would be run to suit. So the form looks pretty patchy. Wet tracks, Japanese horses, they usually don't go hand in hand.
Yeah, wet ground. Recent form doesn't look good enough. I think in a race where you can make a lot of chances, I think it's one you can just put the pen through.
And even though the horse has won at 3,600 metres, he might just be actually a bit too dour for a Melbourne.
Yeah, that's true. It's about a 30-1 pop. Middle Earth, this is a horse that they're trying to do everything with. Ciaron Maher, they dropped him back to the 2,000, put the blinkers on last time. Is he going well enough, Shark, to be a chance in a Melbourne Cup? He's about 34-1.
He's got all the ability in the world, but I think it's between the ears with this horse. He's a banana. He needs to talk to his half-brother Buckaroo, who gives his all every single time he goes to the races, and maybe Buckaroo can give him a pep talk about how to be a proper tough racehorse. This bloke just, I don't know, I can't work him out. Blinkers went on him last time. Yeah, it was an improved run. He ran 3rd. But in this standard of race, is this a Melbourne Cup winning run? I don't think so.
I don't think of his Australian form, like what he was doing in the UK prior to coming here, this horse just looked like a perfect Melbourne Cup horse. And that's why everyone keeps trying to make excuses for him, like what we have been doing for years with Vauban. But it was a good sign. The Maher stable are so good when they put the blinkers on. It's the best staying stable in the country. Ethan Brown for Ciaron Maher, that European form. There's definitely a case to be made, and all of a sudden he's probably been going around under the odds in most of his Australian starts. You finally get a price about him. I can understand why some people might want to cling on to the fact and have something on, but no, I won't be.
Probably you look on the Turnbull run if we're having this conversation the Sunday after the Turnbull, you think, oh, OK, it's not a bad run for a Melbourne Cup, but since then, no, it was a poor JRA Cup. Remember in the old form, guys, they just used to say no?
No. Okay, that's an official no. I hope this horse is in the finish because I want to see Matty Hill throw in Thor Hammer Hansen goes for Flatten the Curve.
Well, the one thing about this horse, I remember, so this comes back to the Belmont Gold Cup in America that Parchment Party won. And the race was moved from the turf to the dirt. And it's important because Flatten the Curve's trainer, Hank Crew, was just desperate to win it and get to the Melbourne Cup. He thinks he's got a Melbourne Cup horse. This horse won the Oleander Rennen and back in May in Germany. Well, the race has given us Red Cardinal back in 2017. I think this horse absolutely is a top 10 chance for sure.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I could see him running well. I don't think I can see him winning. But again, if he ran a place, it wouldn't completely shock me. He is in career best form. And if you take out the run behind Parchment Party where he was all at sea on the dirt track, his turf form is irresistible.
Seems to get through the wet. He's won 6 or 7 and it was using the international ratings. It was a career peak performance last time out that sort of was on par with about what Presage Nocturne was doing before he came out here. So there's definitely a case we made he's over the odds. I just don't know enough about what he's been doing to back him.
Well, let's see if we can learn a little bit more from his trainer, Hank Grew. Ed Sadler caught up with him this morning out at Werribee.
It's a very easy horse. He can go everywhere he wants. It depends on the pace in the race. That make it easy for the jockey. I only hope we have a clear race the last 300, 400 metre, and then I think we have a good chance to be placed.
Okay, he's around about a $26 chance.
He's been well backed since last night. I think he was 80s into 26.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He's like he'd just come from track work himself there, Hank. Like maybe done a couple of sprints just to loosen up.
Fit-looking fella. A few Aussie trainers. No, don't go there. Let's have a look at the next one. And this is Land Legend. This time last year, we were giving him a good chance, but he seems to be a different horse 12 months on, Matty.
Did nothing in the Turnbull, did nothing in the Caulfield Cup. On the Underwood run, it wasn't bad, flashing home to run 5th, but yeah, as a part of a bit of a long tail here, I think.
I could see this horse running a place on a wet track. His best run this prep was on a wet track, first up over 1,500 metres. If you go back through his form in Australia, he's run some really big races on soft ground. I think he might just be feeling the ground a little bit at the moment, this fella. I was with him last year when he was mad and keen and pulling his head off. He seems to be settled now and he just doesn't have that spark. So he's a confusing horse for me.
Yeah, I can't make a case for him. Yeah, the wet track will help, but his recent form doesn't look like he's going well enough.
See, in a funny way, 12 months ago, we had Knight's Choice and Warp Speed. Their wheels were spinning at Caulfield on the wet, came to a firm track, and it was a different story. It's the reverse this year, that we're having horses that are running on firm tracks that'll get to appreciate heavy ground.
All right, well, he's 80-1 Land Legend in the Cup. You're watching the special edition of The Verdict Melbourne Cup preview. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll go through the rest of the Cup runners. Welcome back to The Verdict Melbourne Cup preview with the best in the business. Matty Hill, we've got Benny Asgari, we've got Mick Sharkie as well. Time to have a look at our next runner now, and I'm not sure whether Smokin' Romans, although you'd never discount Ciaron Maher, will be able to win a Melbourne Cup, but as a 9-year-old, it'd be some achievement.
That worries me. 9 years of age, loses nothing as far as the jockey is concerned. Ben Mallam doesn't mind rain-affected going, but I can't have Smokin' Romans.
Might be your leader in the race, and he'll love the wet. He'll give you a sight, but I don't think he can win. I'd be surprised if he could run top 3.
Super tough old campaigner, but can't win this.
80-1 chance. Changing the guard, he's an even bigger price. Chris Lee's Tim Clark. He has to overcome barrier 24 as well, Matty.
And it's a Williams horse, which is synonymous with the Melbourne Cup. As you say, the outside gate is a concern. Just don't think it's going well enough after running 6th in the Geelong Cup.
He's another important horse as far as the tempo of the race is concerned. From 24, you'd expect they'd go forward and let him flow. So along with horses like Smokin' Romans, River of Stars, they're going to set the tempo. So we want them to bowl and give every horse their chance.
All right, let's have a look at the favourite now, half yours. I was pretty keen. Oh, no. Yes, we are. OK, let's have a look at the favourite half yours here. I was about to say I'm pretty keen until I saw the front page of the Herald Sun today, which is not good. But look, it is the best form line. The Caulfield Cup, I know he goes up a little bit in weight, but I still think 53 kilos is a more than winnable weight, and the weather wouldn't be an issue.
That's the huge positive for this horse. He is just about the best wet tracker we've got in Australia. He's an excellent wet tracker. Now, the question for me with him, and look, I thought he was close to a moral here in the Caulfield Cup, and he was priced accordingly. I wasn't the only one. Most people thought the same way. But he's so brilliant in the Turnbull Stakes at 2,000 metres. I pose the question to you, Shark. I know, there might be breeding suggestions and the way he relaxes beautifully, and there's all these pluses. He has to be a query at 2 miles for me, particularly when you're being asked to take $6.50.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the only lead you get on his pedigree, because his dam side is so poor, is St Jean. And he won an Auckland Cup, so that gives you some confidence, but also the stallion serves 5 mares a year, so it's not like we know what his progeny can do. He is an absolute outlier as far as pedigree goes. Maybe he's just one of those freaky horses that can do essentially anything.
Oh, it's not going to surprise us if he wins, Matty. It's just whether you want to take the price.
I've just always been a believer in the Melbourne Cup that you just have to run the 2 miles solidly out, and I'm not even convinced on that Caulfield Cup win that he can run 2 miles, but the wet track's going to have him in there, and I'll be surprised if he's not in the finish, but I'm not tipping him to win it.
I think he might truck through the corner and look the winner, like going better than anything else. It's just that last 200. It might be a bit like So You Think. He looks like he's going there, but then...
So You Think pulled his way around in a Melbourne Cup, though.
Whereas this guy, he'll drop...
That's what gives me the confidence that he will. And I think they're going to ride him a little colder as well. He's drawn to get a bit of a smother. That was a pretty firmly run Caulfield Cup. He was the horse to beat. They probably put him forward. I think he's got to be given a winning
It's the best story out of the field, I think. If Jamie Mallon was able to win it for Tony and Kelvin McAvoy, it'd be a feel-good story. And as I say, I see him in the finish, but I think there's a couple better.
Yeah, I think the last 100 might get him.
All right. Let's have a look at our next run-up. More Felons. Another one from the Chris Waller stable. Benny, is he going well enough?
Don't think so. No, St Ledger, there were better runs. The Metrop, I'm not sure that's the right form. Look, he's got CJ Waller, who is the grand final genius, but I don't think he can win. What about you guys? Going to make a case?
Well, he was formerly known as scriptwriter as a jumper in England, so you'll get the trip. That's one big tick. Fourth in a Metropolitan, if you're a believer in the Metropolitan form, I suppose. But, I can see him finishing midfield at best.
Yeah, I think that's probably best case for him.
Top 10. All right, let's get on to an interesting running here. Parchment Party. So good to see an American here for the first time. Johnny Velazquez is over at the moment riding the Breeders' Cup. Bill Mott, we get to see it here. Now, you're our US correspondent. You've spent a lot of time over there, Matty. What do you make of Parchment Party on the turf?
Well, I think the story's quite well known now that Parchment Party was in his stalls when it rained on Belmont Gold Cup Day, and because the race was moved to the slop on the dirt. Look at him.
The slop.
Ploughing through the dirt. But turf is his issue. He wasn't even going to run in the race when it was run on the turf. So the initial thought after this race was that he wasn't going to come. The owners have got together and decided to come and experience the Melbourne Cup. And I think they're here for the party. But fantastic to have him in the race.
I'm glad they're here for the party. I think it adds a different element to the race altogether. It's had this golden ticket, this race, and I think it's probably more of a promotional point than anything else. But we see an American horse here. They've taken up the sporting chance. They've brought the horse halfway around the world. I think that is to be commended in itself. Bill Mott's a great trainer. Yeah. And Johnny Velazquez is a world-class jockey. I'm just happy they're here.
Just watching that, if it ends up a bit like Vanderham's year, maybe throw him in.
Yeah, great stories, and it's great to have Johnny Velazquez out here as well, one of the great jockeys of the world. But it's just, I think he's probably one of the favourites to run last.
Oh, hello to our American friends, by the way.
We're trying to help people.
Absolutely,
got to help people have a thing. And last year I thought that Nice Choice was one of the favourites to run last.
If you get him in the sweep, you might be okay. Let's have a look at Athabascan. OTI, we're left with him after a couple had to come out. Johnny O'Shea, Tom Charlton. Now, this is a horse that always stays on, Matty. Can he get into the prize money, the top end?
Well, 2 miles, he's had 2 goes for the 1 minor placing, and his run in the Moonee Valley Cup was okay. Gets in with no weight, loses nothing with Declan Bates, and the training combination of John O'Shea and Tom Charlton, again, top 10.
Yeah, he could whack away into top 10 maybe and get an earn, but I don't think he's got the ability to figure at the pointy end of the prize money.
He's one of a few whack-awayers in this race.
I just feel we're doing a lot of top 10 whacking away. Who's going to win this race?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Well, we did have the internationals earlier in the segment, so we gave them a big pump up.
Okay, there might be a few down the bottom that have still got a nice chance, I think. Let's get to one of the ones that's flown under the radar. This is the stablemate to our Riffer, Goody Two Shoes. And we get to see these famous JP McManus colours, Matty, which I'm sure you're looking forward to colour.
Absolutely. Well, very familiar at Aintree and Cheltenham. Goody Two Shoes.
And it has one over the steeples.
One thing about this horse, it's trained by Joseph O'Brien, who's done it a couple of times before. Wayne Lorden probably almost should have been a Melbourne Cup winning jockey with Il Paradiso a few years back.
We're glad he wasn't.
We did, with Vow and Declare winning. This horse was third at a Lily Langtree at Glorious Goodwood. Obviously stays the trip with wins over 2,800 metres and before this 3,200 metres at Down Royal. The one thing that I'm a sucker for is this horse has carried 61 kilos, 62 kilos. He's got 51 and a half, a mare that has flown under the radar. Look, what I would call Goody Two Shoes is, an outsider that can certainly finish top 10 and be a first 4 spoiler.
Yeah, it could be a curio in the history of the Melbourne Cup running a place. You think, Goody Two Shoes, remember that mare that was winning over the jumps? You cannot second-guess the trainer.
Yep.
The McManus team wouldn't be bringing a horse halfway around the world if they didn't think it was a chance of running well. They just don't play like that.
No.
So they're here thinking they're a positive place chance at least, I would have thought.
Yeah, respect the stable and will stay. So a couple of big positives. Could be one that is worth throwing in your trifectas and first 4s at a price.
Yeah, she's 40 to 1. All right, let's get on to a horse that I think a lot of punters will be throwing in their multiples. This is River of Stars, Chris Waller. Big opportunity here for Bo Mertens. 51.5 kilos. Great run in a Caulfield Cup and doesn't get a penalty.
Really, really like this mare. So she, in my opinion, was just about the run of the Caulfield Cup. Look, half yours was very good. Let's just think about outside of the winner. Everything else, you look at Valiant King, soft run, back off the speed. Presage Nocturne was having a soft run. She was close to the speed, chasing that tearaway leader, and she just kept grinding away. There is a case to be made that she was the best run, and with the fact in mind that she is a genuine 2-miler. She has no turn of foot. The rise in distance, as we saw in the Sydney Cup last preparation, is a big positive. Now, she was beaten in a Sydney Cup. You say, well, that's not strong enough form. However, I think she's going better this preparation. She's had another preparation with Chris Waller. She's been targeted at this race, down in the weights, wet track, no issue. Going to roll forward on speed. I think over the odds, I think you've got to have something on her. She's a bet for me and one of the best winning chances in the race.
Gee, she's $17. Let's hear from Charlie Duckworth from the Barry Draw last night, then I'll get Matty and Shark's thoughts.
The main thing is we've got 5 horses who you can make a genuine case for. They're all proven at 2 miles, and that's actually a big thing. Knowing you're going to see out the distance.
I'll put it to this way: when I wrote about your horses in the Cup, I said Buckaroo's the class horse, River of Stars, Valley King, the stayers that look peak to prime.
Yeah.
Am I reading it the right way, or have I got it completely wrong, Charlie?
Yeah, I think that's fair. But River of Stars might be the class horse over 2 miles.
Yeah, mate, that's fine.
Yeah, her forms are obviously exceptional. She'll relish the wet. She hasn't drawn too bad.
Gee, hearing that, maybe I should have bumped her up the rankings a little higher if he's thinking maybe on top of Valiant King. What's your thoughts, River of Stars, Matty?
Yes, had one start at 2 miles, finished third, drops 2 kilos. That was the third in a Sydney Cup. Great chasing performance in the Caulfield Cup. At a mare, I think she's in there.
The only thing about that Caulfield Cup too is it was a fast race, and she was, again, like the Caulfield Cup, the best of those on speed. So even while I think she's going better, there was a lot of merit to that performance.
She can absorb pressure, obviously. Yep. She'll go forward, so she's going to be out of the kick back and the buffeting and everything else back in the field, which I think is a plus. and she's just got a relentless action. Like, she just keeps going, ploughing through her work. You know, it could be that sort of race where you're looking at the 200. They've still got to run her down.
Do you think it will be a high-pressure Cup this year?
No, I don't necessarily think it will be. I think it will be genuinely run because it's a Cup and that's just what they are. You've got a couple of speed horses to go forward in both Changing of the Guard and Smoke and Romans. I think she'll be just in behind them. It just depends with some of these internationals as to whether they add extra pressure to that, to what we expect.
We're going to take our final break. We'll come back, look at the rest of the field in the Melbourne Cup, and then we'll give you the winners for this year's Cup. Welcome back to The Verdict, Melbourne Cup Special Edition. We've got a couple more runners to go through in the Cup and then we'll give you our winners. And I wonder if Royal Supremacy be a fair old fairy tale for Robbie Dolan. He lost his Melbourne Cup winner from last year and he's jumped on a horse you'd give a chance listening to Ciaron Maher this morning. My only concern about this galloper, Benny, is he just doesn't seem to be able to settle.
Yeah, so the end of 2 miles, looks like he's going to handle the wet okay, lightweight. Again, like I sound like a broken record, but there's definitely a case to be made for this horse being over the odds at $30, $40. But does either of you guys want to back him? I'm not figuring him in my numbers.
Well, listening to the stable, it sounds like the horse has got ADHD. He just wants to do something all the time. He has to be working. They can't work him enough. He's in the race. They're going a strong tempo. He's over racing. They're going a slow tempo. He's over racing. It just seems manic, but his form is really consistent. Like he just keeps running well. So he might just be one of
like
those.
A hot mess by the sound of it.
He's a hot mess, Matty. But look, if you owned him, you wouldn't be complaining. He's won at Metrop. He's run well at Caulfield. It wouldn't shock me if he ran well.
Yeah, I mean, Metropolitan winner who ran well in a Caulfield Cup. He's a dinky die top 10 chance, isn't he?
Sounds like someone sitting on the chair over here to me.
Yeah, I didn't
say that about Horace.
I didn't want to say it, but I think Shark might have known what he was talking about.
Let's have a look at Torrenzino. Now, what a story this would be if Celine Gaudry was able to win a Melbourne Cup. Coming through the Geelong Cup, Paul Prushka has been so close and unlucky previously. They beat the King, Matty, to get into the Cup.
Yeah, it was a great story, wasn't it? Look, this horse, again, is just a grinding stayer with a touch of class, and Geelong Cup winners have been there and done that before. I can see this horse running top 10. I don't think he can win it, but I reckon he's top 10.
I reckon he's got a really good shout to run a place, Torrenzino. He's in great form. The form around Valiant King was strong. Gilded Water would have started single figures had he have won his way into this race. This bloke just keeps grinding away. Wet track, no problem. He ran a monster race in the Warrnambool Cup.
Yeah.
Coming from a mile off them. He was nowhere and just launched in that ground. I can see him running really well at a price.
Yeah, I could see him running onto a place. I can't see him winning, but I could definitely, like Shark said, see him running into a top 3 or 4.
We usually get a roughie filling a place in the Melbourne Cup. And our last runner, number 24, I think he is a genuine winning chance. He may even be vying for favouritism by the time we run the Cup. He's a different horse with the blinkers on this year. Chris Waller, Jai McNeil chasing his second. I thought he was unlucky to not go really close in the Caulfield Cup, Matty.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be having a different conversation as we watch the Caulfield Cup again. Watch Valiant King, 4th last on the fence, held up in patches up the straight, had to dit and dart a little bit. And you could even make some sort of a case that he should have won the Caulfield Cup here. Brilliant at Flemington the start before. I can see Valiant King right down the bottom of the weight, storming over the top and winning the Melbourne Cup. I think he's a fantastic chance.
Oh, he's hard to knock given what he's done. I do think that the runs of River and Stars and Presage Nocturne were better because of the way the race worked out. He was just sitting out the back doing no work. He moved into the race at the absolute perfect time. So it might be a little bit of an illusion as to how well he went there, but he'll handle wet, he'll stay. He's just been a brilliant horse. He's got no weight. Since the blinkers have gone on, it's turned him around. Waller in a grand final. There's so much to like, but you're being asked to take $8. So that's the only reason I'm not backing him. I'd have him a little bit longer than that. I'd probably want double figures, but he's in my top 4 and I think he's a great chance. I've got him 4th. I'm going to back 3 horses to win the similar amount. River of Stars on top. I think she's over the odds. I think El River's the best horse in the race. Reminds me of Gold Trip, and he might be even better than Gold Trip. And Presage Nocturne. I won't back him. I'm going to hold off from backing him early. If the track's, a 6 or better, I'll add Presage Nocturne to bets with River of Stars and El Rifa. But they're the main 3 horses I'm working around, 21, 1 and 6. Valiant King is pretty hard to knock as well.
OK. Sharkie, is Valiant King in your numbers?
Yes, it's the only time you'll ever get a top 4 out of me in any race. I hate them. Valiant King, I think, is... His win at Flemington 2 back was the most impressive staying performance we've seen all season. It was ridiculously rude. And if he turns up in that sort of form, I think he'll go very close to winning. Presage Nocturne, soft ground, 2 mile, tick, tick, tick. Torrenzino's in the form of his life, as is Half Yours. El Rifa, others, they're all in the mix.
OK, I'm sticking with the Caulfield Cup form. I think we might get to see a horse complete the famous double. I can't see a reason why Half Yours can't win. I think that form with Valiant King is the best form in the race. And I'm not ignoring Buckaroo. Very Elegant came through the Cox Plate. Getting beaten ahead by VRC is pretty good form. And El Rifa could be the best horse, but can he carry 59 kilos? OK, there are selections in this year's Melbourne Cup, and we thought, well, the best way to get Matty Hill's selection is obviously to give us a little phantom call of the last little bit of this year's Melbourne Cup. How you see it, Matty?
Well, at the clock tower, they've got to Smoke and Romans. River of Stars has moved up on the outside, grinding them home with Presage Nocturne. They're stride for stride. Half Yours is coming at them, and Valiant King right down the outside. 50 to go. Valiant King with Half Yours, Presage Nocturne. Valiant King's won the Melbourne Cup. Presage Nocturne, Half Yours, an absurd has stayed on. Get to Melbourne, Willie has run 4th.
Outstanding work as always, Matty. I love it. Valiant King, Presage Nocturne, Half Yours, and Absurd. Mate, good luck.
Thank you.
It
Can't
is
wait.
unbelievable. You have been calling so phenomenally well all Spring Carnival.
Oh, look, it's an absolute privilege to do it. It's the best job in the world. So bring on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Rain, hail or shine.
We'll be watching it on Racing.com. Good luck to you. Good luck, Sharkie. Tune into the Verdict podcast in the morning. We've got prizes to give away with my racehorse. And then we roll in to Oaks Day and then Champions Day, which is fast becoming one of the best days of the year. And we might get to see Jenni back as well.
Huge day today coming up on Racing.com as well. We've got
Sunday
Peninsula
sesh.
Cup Day. If you can't get there, have a look at the pictures that we'll bring you. It is a monster crowd, one of the great country racing days. But the Sunday sesh team will be in, and we're going to be hopefully finding plenty of winners.
Some sort of hope Tentyris is going to run next Saturday.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. It's going to be a crack up.
Good evening.
Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of Cup Week. Back plenty of winners. We'll see you next week on The Verdict.